Welcome to the Sacred Rebels podcast. This is your host, Tay.
And co-host Amy.
We're the podcast that fearlessly dives into the depths of holistic healing. Join us as we empower you to embrace your divine journey, confront sexual trauma, conquer addictions, and rise with confidence with life after trauma. It's time to unlock the sacred rebel within and enter a transformative path to self-discovery and healing.
We are here to trigger you. By shattering stigmas and questioning societal norms, join us as we explore diverse stories of men and women showcasing that there's not one way to heal and the importance of community. Together, we will navigate the evolving human experience, embracing paths to growth and understanding. Let's heal, baby.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Sacred Rebels. Tonight, we have my husband here. I'm very excited to hear his point of view of things about what it's like being married to someone with childhood trauma. And so the conversation is going to be real good, real juicy. But we're going to start off with our big deep breath first, and then he's going to read our card.
One hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Expel all the energy out. Big inhale through the nose. Fill up, open the heart, hold it at the top, and then exhale, slowly let it go. Enter into the space with an open mind, an open heart.
I love that gong so much. Okay, babe, what do you got for us?
Abundance.
Can you see the card? I'm going to hold it up.
Expect abundance, an abundance of good things in all shapes and forms. It seems you've found your place in life. You feel at home in your current situation, or even if you don't quite feel at home yet, good things are coming. With the moon as well placed as she is in this card, an abundance of loveliness must surely follow. Remember that abundance follows your frequency. When you draw this card, it suggests you've tapped into the right frequency to match whatever it is you want to achieve. An abundance of good things might include more cash coming into your life, or perhaps an abundance of love and good feelings between you and the person you love, or the people you love. If you're worried about your financial situation, this is a reminder that you have what it takes to generate the cash you want. If you're wondering about moving house, this card is almost certainly a suggestion to stay where you are for now. If you're asking about a relationship, it appears you and your beloved actually are fairly well suited.
Love that.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's in the theme of the household lately is just abundance. Abundance in all areas. Expanding. Also, guys, shout out. Dyl's the first guy we've ever had on the podcast. We said this season was going to be the season where we open it up to men and their stories, and he's number one. Kind of unplanned, but meant to be, I feel like, in a way.
And the first in-person guest.
Yeah, in-person guest that we've had with our new setup. Take a look. It's beautiful.
Season 2. First in-person guest of season 2 because we've just done Zoom.
Yeah.
And us.
Yep. Just Zoom and us.
The Us Show.
Amy and Tay Show.
Well,
And that's what Dylan calls it, actually.
Honored to give everybody a break from you two.
Yeah. I mean, this is daily life for Dyl, Daddy Dyl. Like, he's got his 2 wives here. So, I mean, this is just us and our antics.
Another day in the life of Dyl.
But we're really excited to turn the spotlight to my hubs and hear a little bit of his story and how we met. And, you know, he was a drug addict as well. We met in Heroin Anonymous, if you guys didn't catch our last reel. So, babe, you ready to share your story like we were at a meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Just like a quick one, right?
Yeah. Just like identify, yeah.
Yeah. So I always partied pretty hard, but I found opiates as soon as I got in the trades. I was...
How old are you?
20.
Okay.
And I made it last 7 years by having a trade where I could do side work. I worked like 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Just enough to support my habit and stay high. And I basically spent the whole time alone and worked. And
When you say you found opiates, like, was it something, did you, like, have an injury? Like, did you just, like, were
the
you
rest
just
of the guys at
partying?
work were doing it, and I tried a piece, and it was kind of like that extra motivation and boost, it was
A
like
piece of a
perfect.
perk, yeah.
Yeah. And
Because that's what they did in the trades. I feel like that's what they did back then in the trades. Like, everyone did pills. Everyone I knew did pills in the trades.
yeah,
Yeah.
made it fun to be working.
Yeah.
I made it last longer than most. I feel like, oh, the plane. It's like
the airport.
I was like, what is happening?
We're taking off, baby.
What's in the air at this place? I didn't have a bunch of stints in rehabs or anything. I made it work for the most part, and it brought me to my knees multiple times, but it wasn't until I started hurting the people closest to me and the guy I respect and love the most in the world that it really broke me inside good enough to go to detox.
Which you're talking about your dad, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, when they went to do their taxes, they found some things, and so I went to, I planned on doing like a 5-day detox, and I got lucky, and some guys my age came into that detox on a Friday night. I wondered why they were there and why they were so happy, and they had some good things to say, and I wanted what they had, and I knew if I went home, things
Shout
wouldn't.
out to Nate Mack, if Nate Mack's out there listening.
That was the next one.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah.
Oh, it was Justin? Was
Justin
it Justin?
Reynolds, yeah.
Justin Reynolds.
So I decided to go to rehab instead of leaving the detox, and I spent like a week there, and that's when Nate came in. Again, they spoke of things that I didn't know about, and instead of going home, I went to a sober house from there in Dover and was with a bunch of guys in the same situation that were totally normal, respectable, good people that had been through the same. And rather than going home at night after work, I went back to a group of guys that kept me accountable. And as soon as I got up there, I went to a young people's meeting and laid eyes on Tay over here. She did not return the favor by any means.
Oh, God.
I think it was probably like a week later that she had her friend up from Miami that spotted me. He was a guy and wanted to be introduced. So she came up to a mutual friend of mine and we met, and she did not give me the opportunity to talk to her and get her number in real life. She Facebook messaged me.
I did, you guys. I'm proud. I think I told this story.
Yeah.
But babe, let's back up a little bit. So while you were in active addiction, you said you found your first perk on the job site at what? Age 20, you said?
Yep.
So then how many years did you spend?
7.
7 years, exactly. So you didn't find your way to recovery until 27. And all that time, while using, we talk about this a lot, you were alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just...
Yeah.
I
It was
think
more of
that's...
like a wanting to function. It wasn't for fun.
Yeah, my husband, you guys, definition of a functioning addict. I feel like he was very lucky and blessed with a job and a boss who kept giving him opportunity after opportunity. And he was, really able to pull off the double lifestyle and keep making money to keep getting high so he didn't have to get sick. But in turn, that was really lonely, right? Because you spent a lot of time alone.
Yeah, for sure. And I was good with that. And then like every other waking minute that I wasn't working, I was exhausting all my energy trying to act normal and keep my normal friends. I didn't have like a crew that was doing the same thing, which was probably a blessing. But I hated every day of it, but I felt like there was no choice. And I never, for the most part, tried too hard to stop it.
Yeah. Why do you think that you used for all those years? Was there like an underlying, we talk about a pain point or a traumatic event that had happened in your life that like caused you to use, or was it purely just like curiosity on the job site? Like guys had pills and then you got physically dependent?
Yeah, I think so, and I liked it. I mean, when I did steroids, I stopped working out, but I kept shooting steroids because I liked the way it made me feel.
Mm.
You know, basically anything I do, it's more of like a everyday, like no matter what, more so
Yeah.
than like the big getting wicked high.
Yeah. Consistent. You
Yeah.
are a consistent motherfucker. I will say that.
Yeah. But yeah,
Consistency.
it was dark, but it was a good place to get to because when I did get in recovery, I was desperate and broken enough to, you know,
Yeah.
to like see things for what they were and appreciate small things. When I got with Tay, I didn't have any money. I was living at a sober house. I had a job. I didn't have any tattoos, you know. So like we always said we would be happy in a cardboard box together, you know.
We did, and we were.
Yeah.
We were in a barn box.
Yeah.
We were in a barn box, y'all. We lived in his like in the back of his parents' in-law apartment. I'll never forget it. It was the best years of my life. We had our first 2 children there. Like we lived there we made it work for 5 years, and it was the best.
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yep.
It was cute.
And
Yeah.
that's cute. And we had his family out front, and like we were just surrounded by love and people and support, and you know, I think that was just really like, honestly, I think that was a huge help for us, just being around like family a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You need a village.
Yeah.
Especially when we were expected to fail, you know,
Yeah.
and die.
Oh, yeah. That's like, that's always the thing. Oh, my God, you guys got into a relationship
Yeah.
right away.
You're
Like,
gonna
don't do
die.
it. You're going to die. You're going to
You'll
relapse.
die.
You're, rehab romances, right? And not for nothing, but, like, that does happen where people do, like, connect and rehab and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not successful, right?
Yeah.
We've all had those stories.
Yeah.
But also, you don't know. You never know what you never know. You got to, like,
Yeah.
take chances and, like, who knows
I knew
what's going to happen.
I knew. Tay didn't know. Like, we didn't get together too quick. She was too busy keeping me at arm's length and, being my best bud.
Okay, well, how did you know? Like, what made you know?
Just the way I felt, like I just didn't have any questions,
Yeah.
Like, as soon as we got together, you started dropping bombs on me all the time, like these truth bombs of things that are, like, life-altering that most people would, and I felt like I
He
never had a
took every
choice. I
single
was, like,
one.
committed.
Yeah, no, I did. I think the beginning, obviously, of the relationship, there was some really dark things that I had to tell him, some real personal, intimate things that when you're in a relationship with someone, you should, divulge in them and give them that information, and then they get to choose what they do with that, right? And so I think for a long time, I thought whoever I was with, I wouldn't be able to tell them these hard truths because they would leave me or I wasn't worth their love or all these things. And I remember we had this conversation, and Aim was just like, no, he deserves to know the truth. You have to tell him. And, if you tell him and you never know how he's going to react. So he deserves the truth. And then, you get the response that you are going to get no matter what. And we'll figure out how we handle it from there. And so we did. I went home and I had like this hard conversation, and I sat him down and I was like, I have something to tell you. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're freaking me out. Like, did you cheat on me? Are you going to break up with me? Like, what's going on? Like, and I shared some hard truths, not just about like my childhood trauma, but like personal things, intimate things that I had never told a significant other before. And so I was really worried. And I swear to God, you guys, he just looked at me and he said, that's it. And I was like, yep, that's it. And he just hugged me and he was like, Jesus Christ, you gave me a heart attack for nothing. And I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you don't have anything to say? He's like, no, what do you mean? Like, we're in it together and like, we'll figure it out. And I was just like, I think in that moment, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, almost like it's too good to be true almost. And so, yeah, but let's go back to that moment, right? Like, I divulged some truths to you, but I guess I never was so clear cut in like what had happened. Like, I had just said, listen, I have childhood sexual trauma. This person that was like a father figure did these things to me, and I was never clear. So I want to remind everyone, if you're in a relationship with someone and you have you have some significant trauma, I think it's really important to be very clear on what that trauma is, because my husband didn't even know the severity of it until last year when I was like going through the motions and EMDR with Brecken and stuff. Like, I had called AIM, I remember, like, so pissed off one day. Like, he didn't even fucking know. She's like, what do you mean he didn't know? And I was like, he didn't know. Like, do you remember that? It was like last summer. I was like, he had no idea, like, the severity of it. Like, he just didn't fucking know.
Well, you
And
used like a broad general
I did.
statement, and my brain naturally wants to see like
See the best in
least and the
things.
worst, you know.
And yeah, you
the
always
least
want to
of
see the
it.
good in things. Yeah. So I think it's very important to note that if you're with someone and you have childhood trauma or any type of trauma, I think it's really important to be very clear on what that is, what that looked like, what you're doing to get through it, and all the things. Because I think that was an eye-opener for both of us when we kind of were just like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean you don't fucking know? You know?
And I think the reality too is, in like, for me, like, I was married for so long, so obviously, like, my ex-husband knew a lot of those things, but now going into a new relationship, kind of having to, like, kind of go through all
Those
of that
things.
and have that, and especially somebody like me who's done a lot of work for so long, too,
Yep.
that I can kind of just, like, brush things off a little bit more, or I've healed a lot of those things so it doesn't affect me in a way.
Yeah.
But also then, we're just an open book. So we're out here, like, talking about all the
Telling the
things.
world. Yeah.
Telling the world. So, but yeah, having that ability to communicate what it is, but then having somebody receive it in a way where you've held shame and guilt on it for so long because it happened to you, but then having it received by somebody is just like, oh, okay, like, that's amazing. It made you who you are.
Yeah.
Like, it made you who you are, and I love who you are. So
Now
it really,
here we are.
right?
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. And the people with trauma, because we've had these feelings and these shames and these guilts and these like all this shit that comes along with our trauma, we're our own worst enemy.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we do that. We hold ourselves on this thing, and then you tell it to other people, and they're like, wow, like, you made it through that. Like, wow, like, look at everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And, like, that was, like, and then we get perceived in that way, and we're like,
I know. And it
that's
feels so like
strange.
Yeah, it feels so strange and ick, where you're like, oh no, like, don't do that, you know? So it's like a weird situation, but
Or if you're a woman and you think that a man is going to receive you a certain way because if you're, like, they're not the right person if they're going to receive you
Exactly.
in a different way.
which we
That's
talked about
where
this tonight before we came.
Yeah, like, you have to be willing to share all the shit, all the things, no matter how much ick you feel about
Yeah.
it, because that's the only way you're going to heal. And if
your truth. Yeah.
if you're choosing somebody, that they're going to have to choose you fully too.
Yep.
And so you can't have that. You have to be able to, if you want to fully be in a relationship with somebody, be open and honest
That's
about
what it
all.
was. I called AIM and I was like, listen, I've never been honest with a partner. Like, I think Dyl deserves the truth, and I have never, like, started a relationship off with the truth. It's always started off on a lie. And she was just like, yeah, so that's what it needs to be. You need to start it off with the truth, and you need to sit down and tell him everything, and, like, you just need to get uncomfortable. And I was like, panic attack that day, just, like, not well. But he received it so well, and
Yeah. Yeah, and if you do find out that's about someone, I think going forward, you need to know that that's your person, and you, like, love them in and out, and they can almost do no wrong, because there's going to be a lot of times where,
yeah,
you
hardship.
need to,
Hardship.
you're going to have to put them before yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And those people are out there, and it may take you some time to find the people that are gonna, like, fully accept and love and
Unconditional.
Yeah.
That's the word. Unconditional love. People, I feel like, throw that word around so much, but you don't know what unconditional love is until you fully experience someone accepting you for who you are without trying to change you or gaslight you or manipulate you or change something about you. Like, put you down for something that's not necessarily your fault, and we'll get
Or
into
like
that.
use it against you.
Or
Be
use
like,
it against
oh,
you.
you're acting that way because of your
Your
trauma.
trauma.
You're
Yes.
receiving how I'm treating you because of your
The
trauma,
shit you've been
your
through.
filter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know. And that can come up too. That's definitely, you know, everybody has, but when it's a constant like, oh, like a bypass, like
Yeah.
I get to behave however I get to behave because you're going to read it through your fucked up filter.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna go there.
Yeah. Which honestly, like, it takes a lot of courage too. I feel like for the survivor, like the trauma survivor, to accept a lot of fault, right? And accept a lot of, I know how I am. I'm not the easiest to deal with, right? And I put my husband through a lot of shit, and like we kind of joked about this, and he's like, you know, is this gonna be a Tay roast? But I'm like, no, like it has to be his truth, and it has to be his version of things, right? Because I feel like you guys hear so much from me and Aim and our trauma and how we dealt with in our relationships and all the dynamics of that, but we never really hear from someone who is married to someone with trauma who's never experienced any type of trauma like that. So again, this topic is important. It's not easy, and I'm just going to try my best, you know, to not internalize things or take things personal, because it's your truth and that's how you feel. And we have great
Or
communication.
how I did feel.
Or how you did feel. Yep. Yeah.
Because it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's another.
And it isn't now.
Yeah, I feel like that's another key point, right? When you're for a lot of childhood sexual trauma survivors, it's very hard to be in a committed relationship, or it's really hard to give yourself to one person because of the trauma or the program that you have in your mind of like, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're not this, you're not that. And so you self-sabotage and you try to pull away from a relationship, or you try to, you know, you don't believe that you're worthy of this unconditional love. And so you sabotage. And I think that's like a big thing. Like, you go through phases, right? And this isn't just like trauma survivors. I talked about this today with Brecken, my therapist, and you know, she made a really good point, because I of course always ask her advice and her opinion, and she helped curate some questions that I'm going to read from my phone in a second for Dyl. But you know, she made a really good point, and she said, Tay, this isn't just about like childhood sexual trauma survivors. This is about every relationship. When you're in a long-term relationship, a marriage, when you have children, every single couple goes through a part of their relationship where they aren't intimate. Like, that's just the ebbs and flows of lives. And you know, you go through things and you work your way out of them, or you know, you do all these things. So sometimes I feel like I internalize this thing, and I put so much shame around it, like, oh, I don't put out enough for my husband, or I don't do this, or I don't do that, or my kids are number one priority right now. And really, like, this is the reality in a lot of people's relationships right now, but people just aren't talking about it. So we're here to talk about it, and we're here to get a little uncomfortable and, you know, really shed some light on what we deal with at home. And I think it's just really important. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
I think it's super important. And I think even as me, my ex-husband was super supportive in my healing journey. And as I healed and as that happened, and I think this is also something that, you know, as being like an outsider and the second wife, is that you
but
have
also
to...
the sponsor. Like, Aim was my person that I went to talk about these things before I went to my husband. So I feel like that's a big key point too.
Yeah.
Like,
And you are someone that wouldn't
take Dyl's advice, but I would take Amy's, and they would tell me the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, oh wow, Dyl said that to me earlier, but I guess I'm hearing it better from you. And then I would come home and I would tell Dyl, and he'd be like, are you fucking kidding? I literally said that to you this morning. And I'm like, oh well, Aim said it better.
all the time. If I told you to drink water in the desert when we were about to, you would need to get a phone call from Amy or Brecken or whoever
Let me
it
check
is.
with Amy first.
Well, it's funny.
Is this water
because
safe to drink?
Alex would say the same thing too about that. Like, it's something about the approach, and it's just different with relationships and growing together and like doing the work together instead of, you know, what's different for you guys is, even though it's different, right? When you grow or go through these hardships, it is separate journey, but there's growth in it, and it's growth together and willingness to grow together, not just be like, oh, it's just your responsibility to do that, or just your responsibility
Yeah.
to do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's about being parallel in this thing, and the goal is to not grow apart,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
that's just what happened with my marriage, is that was what happened. There was just like the shift, and I believe, you know, taking the children in was a lot, and
Yeah.
having Zoe and COVID, and instead of, you know, growing
Together, you grew
together,
apart.
we grew apart and took different paths.
That's my
And
biggest fear.
he went down one path and a new career path, and I went into, you know, what I was doing, and it was just a very, you know, shift of growing apart and going down two different roads.
Yeah.
And the difference is that's not what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
You know?
She'll tell me that all the time, and I'm like, you know, just because I'm not doing the things you're doing doesn't mean I'm not growing with you
Yes.
in ways.
Which I feel like is another big key topic we should talk about, right? Dyl, like me and Aim have our beliefs, and my husband has his own beliefs, and even though they're not the same, that's okay. I respect his, and I never push my beliefs onto him, but it took some time for me to be like, okay, just because my husband has different beliefs than I do doesn't mean that he still doesn't believe. It's just different in his eyes, and that's okay. Like, we all have to have something to believe in, right? Like, when you come into a program and they say, find something greater than yourselves, he has that. It looks a little different than what mine is, but that's okay. You know, there's a respect level to it where, like, I respect his approach, and when I come home and I get so excited about these things, not always am I perceived greatly, but he always sees that, like, it's what brings me passion. So he always is like, no, I love what you're doing, and if that's good for you, then that's good for you, and then that's just like what we've agreed to keep it as.
Yeah, because it changes often too
Yeah, it does.
for you, you know.
Multi-passionate.
But yeah, we talk about it all the time. Me and Aim are multi-passionate, and I have a lot of ventures and a lot of ideas that I like to do.
And rabbit holes.
And rabbit holes. We all know about the rabbit holes. But you know, Dill's OG supporter. I come home with an idea, and he's like, all right, babe, let's fucking do it. Like, at first he'll give me like the look, and he'll be like, but then, like, you know, he'll come around and he'll be like, okay, let's fucking do it. Do it. Just do what you need to fucking do. And
Well,
I'm
if
like,
you don't, you're just in your head all day.
I
There's too much
know.
time to think.
I know, true. This is true. Okay, so before we get into the nitty gritty of it, is there anything you want to kind of say before I spew off these questions from Brecken? And of course, you guys, we got a lot of questions today on the Sacred Rebels page, and we really appreciate so many people reaching out and giving questions for Dyl. No?
I forgot my notes.
Okay, so so let's start off with the beginning. How did you feel when I let's go back to last year when you finally kind of realized, like, oh shit, it's a lot more serious than I thought. How did you feel, and what was that like?
To be completely honest, I, for one, felt super selfish because I thought you were blowing something up to not more than it was. You know, I could never relate, so it was like, but it seemed like you liked helping everyone and being a part of that. So, like, you know, you just never told me the details, so I didn't know. And then when I found out, it was like, oh shit, you know, all like the power through it, you know, the old thinking before I didn't know anything. Like,
Yeah.
I felt, mostly just like selfish, you know?
So for
Like-
everyone listening, when I first told Dyl what had happened, I basically just said, listen, I was, you know, sexually molested by a father figure when I was younger. I never, like, gave him more details than that. And so what he thought was what? Like, what did you think I meant by that?
I mean, I probably had blockers up to some extent,
Yeah.
but I thought it was just like looking or touching. Like, I don't know how that shit really.
Yeah,
I can't imagine how
he couldn't
any of
see
that
the
would
worst of
work.
it. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
he just, honestly, that's not in his character too. So I don't think he could imagine a man doing that to a child. So I
Yeah.
just think that he wasn't willing to believe that, like,
Yeah.
that was my truth.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it made it easier to, you know, do more, whatever was necessary,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so this was, like, about last year, probably, like, halfway through seeing Brecken, right? Doing the EMDR. I forget when it was. Over the summer, probably. Yeah. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably like over the summer. So I'm going to refer to my phone a lot, you guys. Sorry, but I did take a lot of notes, and obviously I want to read all the questions that you guys sent in. But I definitely want to acknowledge too that we got a lot of questions around like blame. Like, do you guys blame each other or this or that? And I feel like I really want to change the language around that and maybe say, was that influenced by or impacted by trauma instead of like blame? Because I feel like even through the program, we learned a lot how to communicate and how to see each other's wrongs and how to resolve conflict very easily. And so we never try to like blame each other for the conflict or the struggle that we go through. It's like he sees his part, I see my part. It might take a little bit for me, but I mean, I come around.
And it's not always fair to me. It's not that I'm
exactly
in the wrong, but because of something that happened to you that like, you know, may trigger you.
Yes.
It's like I can't do something that may be totally normal.
Exactly.
But
And I think sometimes too, like as a couple, and I saw this, you know, on Instagram, that it's really important to sometimes when you're in a relationship as a significant other, when you're going through a hard time, to be like, I just need you to support me in this moment.
Exactly.
That I'm not looking for advice.
Yeah.
And to start out, hey, I'm going to vent and I just need you to hold space for
Just
me.
listen.
Because there's people, I have multiple friends where if I know I need advice for a certain thing, I'm going to call this person and they're going to give me the best advice for the situation that's happening when I'm in a clear mind to think about and ask for advice or ready to hear advice. Because sometimes I think what happens is where we go to our significant other expecting to be held and supported, and they just want to help, right? They want to help so bad.
Or fix, yeah.
And not necessarily fix, right? They want to help come up with a solution. But when we're in that place of venting or in the place of hurt still, we're not ready or receptible to hear it. So that's why when she calls me and she's ready because she's calling me for advice in that moment, rather than she's coming to you just as like to vent or to just be held in this space because she's hurt or whatever, and then you come at it with trying to fix or kind of come to a solution so it's closed off because you're not
and all my ideas are coming from someone who can't relate.
Right.
So they're not going to hit the same, you know? But if I knew that prior, that would be way better because I'll just start spewing stuff, trying to fix everything immediately, naturally.
Because you're
But
a
that would
fixer,
help.
and most men are, because that's where they've been trained and thought. So they're like, okay, the person I love is coming to me with something. How can I fix it? Instead, and then you're also, when you're doing that, you're not being an open listener because you're thinking in your head about, okay, I need to know what I need to say to make this better for her or him or whatever. So I think that is the most important advice that we can give our listeners too, is to be like, okay, when you go to your significant other, what are you needing? Because I'm sure there is things that you do go to Dylan for advice for, and you ask, okay, like, I need advice on this situation. But it's different when you're like, okay, I just need support. So when you're going into those conversations, being like, I don't need to be fixed. I don't need advice right now. I just need you to listen to me and hear what I need to say and hug me and hold me and let me cry on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to fix, because
I think that's so true because there's like no one's opinion that I respect or value more than Dyl's, but sometimes I'm not able to hear it until I'm actually ready. Yeah. That's so true.
I'm not getting involved in this one.
I mean, if anyone knows, it's him.
I'm going to call on you in a second here. We got a good one.
Give me a lifeline. Give me a lifeline. Okay.
Hey, I have no fucking problem. We said before, we have no problem roasting Tay. We know she's fucking,
and I'm
she's
ready
a
to
tough
take it,
one.
y'all. I'm ready to take it.
She is a fucking tough one.
We're about to get into it. We're about to get into
death. We know, but.
Okay, so ready? Here are some questions that we curated for tonight, and we're going to try to come at these with like a positive lens instead of a negative lens because I feel like there's two ways of asking questions, and we're going to try to stick to the positive mindset. So, how do you think that we got to a point in our relationship where we still have conflict but don't place blame? Which was like the key point of like, let's not try and place blame. We try to see each other's part, you know.
Yeah. I mean, in general, if we communicate right away, I usually feel better after.
Yeah.
Because then I start feeling bad that you're feeling bad because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I think there's communicating right off the bat. Because usually after we talk, like, I feel better.
Yeah, communication is key, and honestly, I feel like that's the biggest way we connect. That's like the biggest way I feel connected is after we have like a heart to heart and I'm like in shambles.
Also, I'll just say I love you guys too because they are aware and they know what works for them. And it's so funny because she'll show me. They separate and go in different rooms and text each other
do.
because sometimes
do.
the energy
That's a good point.
right, like
That's
it
a
doesn't.
really
There's
good
no
point.
right or wrong way. Like if you know that your energy sometimes together, and this is something that's really cool.
Yep.
So what I'm going to say is something that I've learned too, and I think it's one of the coolest things, and it makes sense. When you're in an argument with your significant other and you start yelling and you're in the same room, what's happening? Your voices are getting louder because your souls, your hearts are apart from each other. So your heart and your soul, because you're angry at each other and you can feel the anger, your voice raises because you energetically feel like you're far apart from each other because your hearts are far apart. So when you're screaming and yelling, it's actually because your souls are like, wait, there's no love here. So that energy that rises. So if you know that about yourself and you know that, maybe you guys could communicate healthily if you separate and maybe you text or write notes or whatever it is, like there is no right or wrong way. So if you know that works for you, I think that I love that you guys do that because you guys know that about yourself.
If I could get a minute or two, I could be very level-headed and think it all out. But in the first 30 seconds, if I was, I could see red very easily.
Which
and
we're
I
both
used
like
to
that.
when I've got better at it. But
We're both very reactive. And so for us, especially having kids in the home, I grew up in a very toxic household that was yelling and screaming all the time. So I don't ever want my kids around that. And so when I feel that I'm getting angry and I'm raising my voice, I'll be like, I can't do this right now. Like, I can't do this right now. We're not doing this right now. Or he'll be like, stop yelling. Like, the kids. And I'm like, okay, fine, you're right. And then we'll separate. Like either I'll go upstairs or he'll go upstairs and we'll start at first rage texting all caps and then we'll
all
chill.
Caps kill me.
It's probably me all caps. But then we'll chill or I'll chill and I'm able to read his text. And one thing about my husband is he's a very good writer. He's a very good communicator. And so when he's feeling something, he's very good at articulating his words in a way for me to see it and then read it through a calmer lens because of how he speaks to me. I feel like how you speak to someone is so fucking important. He has a very good way of speaking to you when you're upset. I don't know if you do that with everyone, but you definitely are really good at doing it with me. Like when
it's easier when you're right. It's easier to
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just. Well, we do it.
But seriously,
we
it's
do it
true.
in person now. It doesn't get there.
No, I will say that, and I will admit that a lot of the times I'm in the wrong, and it takes me a while to come around. Which we've talked about this. I'm a grudge holder. I don't know if that's just in my sign or why I do that, but I'm a grudge holder. I can't help it. I've been trying really hard to let go of those things, and I think I have gotten a lot better of just letting things kind of roll off. But I'll fucking stay mad for a little bit, and I'll write all caps you motherfucker, da, 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 da. And then he'll quickly come back with the nicest fucking response, and I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to fucking get mad about that,
I think it's also important that when you have trauma and you have things like this, to really have people in your life that know you fully, transparently, that, you can bounce your crazies off of and people that will be like, no, Tay, that's really not okay.
Yeah.
Because every time she calls me, I'm like, all right.
No, she does. And she's so quick to be like, well, do you see Dill's point? Or I'm kind of on Dill's side here. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't ever say I'm
call
on
someone
Dill's
else.
side. Yes.
Let me call someone else.
No, I just have the ability to see it from everybody's different,
me too.
Perspective and be like, okay, yes, you're valid in this, but also
this.
Yeah.
Which
but
is
also
so important.
Maybe it's this.
Yeah.
Right? So it's so important to have people in your life that you're willing to be vulnerable with, and to not be afraid, right? Like, I know no matter what I say to Tay, she's going to know it's coming from a loving place. I'm never going to say anything to her that my intentions are never to hurt her. So, you know, even though she may be mad at me in a moment, because in the moment she feels like I'm taking Dyl's side, I'm like, no, don't look at it at that. Just try to see the bigger picture of it all. Because sometimes we're so much in our rage or so much in our trauma because our body's reacting to the situation that's actually not even happening in the moment.
Yeah.
Our body's
That's
having
a big one.
this.
That's a big one. Reacting to a situation that's not even happening, you're just relating it to a time that you felt that certain way. So you're immediately like, nope, like this is this way, when really like it's not even like that.
And like
it's
those intentions are never to
ever hurt
be
me.
hurtful or do these things. And sometimes we need to be reminded that, and we need to say, okay, is this person, am I reading this through my lens of trauma?
Yep.
Or is this person really actually trying to hurt me in this moment with the things that they're saying or their actions or behaviors? Are they doing it to intentionally make me feel triggered by what used to happen in the past?
Yeah.
Or is this just them in this moment and they're being human, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And is that all it is? And I just have to, you know, be a little bit more understanding.
Yeah. So it's definitely very, very important, I feel like, to have a third party, whether it's a therapist or a best friend who knows the ins and outs of your trauma and your relationship. It just so happened to be my sponsor who knew the fucking nitty gritty of my life, who now, you know, is the third wife, so, or second wife.
Like, wait, who's the second wife?
Second wife. So I feel like it just helps.
I don't think he could have a third wife.
Yeah.
I think with the two of us, it's enough.
It does. It helps having that lens of someone on the outside, but also knowing the most intimate details of your relationship, which is why I always recommend having a therapist if you don't have a therapist. Just having like that non-biased opinion to bounce ideas off of is so important.
Yeah, and not reacting too quick, because there was times like things I was trying to tell you, you'd laugh me off or, you know, tell me I was nuts, and then I waited till
Give me an example.
We were at our friend's house one time, and I think we were talking about you. I think you were going through your thing, you know. So you guys were like talking all day, every day. And I had said something about it, and she wouldn't even like listen to it. And then once I was able to do it in a space where we were in front of other people and she had to like sit there and listen, she was like, oh,
okay.
You know,
That is true.
I wasn't able to be heard until, you know, there was other people there.
Yeah.
Otherwise you were just reacting and shutting it down.
Yeah, and I'll say that was hard. That was this year, like, I could not have gotten through this last year without the support of both Dylan and Taylor. And, you know, Taylor is an angel of a friend, and she does and not just me, with everyone takes on everyone's shit like it's her own, you know? And so now through this year, I've
like when she's hurting, I'm hurting. When my friends are hurting, I'm hurting. So then I bring it home to my husband. And when my friends are hurting, I'm hurting. And then he's like, well, can I just have a little bit of your time? And I'm like, I don't have any more energy to give. Like, I'm tapped out for the day.
And that usually happens when we're doing our best. Like, you get bored. So you, like, jump into someone else's.
That's another thing that I do.
Like, all in, which I'm like, oh, I'm working so hard to try to get to this place. And then we get there and you find something
to stir it up.
That doesn't have anything to do with us.
Yeah. That is a big thing that I do.
And so, as I have this awareness now, I am like, hey, Tay, do you have the mental capacity to actually deal with what I'm about to tell you right now? Because usually it's a lot. And that, as being a friend and somebody that I think that's also really important, that if you have a lot of shit going on all the time, which I did, this year was very intense, but it's coming to a plateau.
Yeah.
We're having some success here, guys. I'm feeling really great about life. Never been so happy ever in my life. Ever. like this weekend, I was like texting some friends. I'm like, guys, I'm peaking.
I know. I'm peaking. Literally, I'm
I'm
peaking.
peaking. I'm like, thank God I didn't peak in high school. You know those people that peaked in high school? Like, don't you feel like you're peaking like right
Yeah.
now? And it feels so good to be like peaking in this moment of life.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, this is it. But now I'm just like, hey, like, do you have the mental capacity
Yeah.
to like deal with what I'm about to like lay on you? Because you never know, you know, when you're having a bad day, and the same thing, to remove yourself from your situation and be like, okay, everybody's life is really hard right now. So do I say, okay, are you in a mental space for you to hold space for me right now? Because it's a lot. And sometimes she says, no, and that's okay. Then I have other people that I can call, right? And sometimes she's like, yeah, bring it to me because I need all the tea. That's mainly the answer.
Yeah, I was going to say 99%.
99% of the time she's like, yeah, give me the tea, bitch.
But I feel like that's so special about our relationship, and I feel like that's why we always joke, like, oh, Dylan is 2 wives, but, like, it really is true. Like, it sounds fucked up, but Aim's, like, family at this point. Like, she's a big sister to me. Like, she was my sponsor. She gave me the most, like, life fucking crucial advice that I could have gotten early sobriety, and I brought that into my relationship, and now I've brought it into my family, and, like, it's kind of just stayed, like, this dynamic, and so it only makes sense that she knows, like, the fucking innermost, deepest, intimate parts of our relationship, because she's the one person that I can call who, even though she's my best friend, will give it to me straight and be like, no, you're in the fucking wrong. Dill's right. Like, you're acting like an asshole, this or that. And I'm like, damn, okay. Like, you know, I'm always able to be like, like, at first, like, other day specifically, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And she's like, Tay, I know you don't want to hear it, but, like, just try to see it through Dill's eyes. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And she's like, okay, well, I love you. Like, let's talk about it later. And I'm like, yep, whatever.
She was so mad
Not
at me
happy about it.
because she was like,
But that's
yeah,
okay,
but
too.
he did this. He did that. I'm like, yeah, but also he works really hard, and like
he does
we
this
are
and he
allowed
does
to
that.
be human.
I know. It's true, right? And sometimes with this lens of, like, how do I say this? Because I don't want to. Sometimes it is very victim mentality. I don't consider myself a victim, but sometimes I can fall back into that, like, victim mentality of, like, oh, it's him. Like, nothing I do is wrong, which is obviously the furthest thing from the truth. And a lot of our struggles, I don't want to say problems because they're not problems, but a lot of our struggles are because of my trauma and the way that I deal with them, and how, like, I don't have the healthiest coping mechanisms, which I'm learning through, right, and growing. This last year was, like, really a progressing point for me. I feel like the first 5 years of our relationship we spent growing our family, and I didn't really start working on myself truly until last year. So
I mean, that's
like, deep work. I mean, I've
You
always,
had a lot of work to do in a lot of places, though.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were so young.
Like growing up.
Yeah, exactly. Very immature, just never had to, like, live on my own, really. And Dill's, like, obviously the breadwinner, financial person in our relationship. He takes on a lot of the responsibility, and I don't really see the struggle that he sees. And so I feel like sometimes my point of view is so skewed and in a very immature mindset, because I'm just like, oh, well, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. But even getting to be someone that's, like, running errands, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, that's all new to you.
Yeah. Like, the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We ate
Stepped
out a
into
ton, and I just was definitely not a homemaker. And I feel like this last year I've really tried to just not step up for, you know, my husband, but obviously my kids. Like, my kids deserve more, and my kids deserve, you know, a meal on the table, and, you know, not DoorDash every other fucking day. So yeah, okay. Let's go on with these questions so we don't get too sidetracked. Okay, what's this other one? What helps navigate all these situations when I go through my little trauma flare-ups and I'm going through, like, an episode where I'm just, like, completely shut off?
Probably space.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've learned there's nothing I can do or say or make it any different, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Just try not to take it personal. It's
I'd
not
say
about
also
me.
your notes. You write a lot of notes to yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, if we're having problems like intimate problems and stuff, and I'm doing everything right, going out of my way, you know, and everything is good, and there's no reason that like passion shouldn't be there. There's times where I'm going to bed like super angry again. I used to take it personal, like on the nightly, like it was like getting rejected over and over, because I would make it super clear, like, hey, you know, like I need you to show some like urgency, or like find a way, you know, might not be sex, but like anything to show me like you're thinking of me, like make it happen. And it wouldn't. So then I didn't want to initiate, because you don't know how they're going to react. And then you're not one to initiate. So then I'm just like got my hands tied every night, going to sleep, not knowing which way to go. And yeah, I would write like hate mail, like I deserve, you know, this, that, the other thing. And a lot of the times everything I said was true, but I would wake up and read it and be like, it's not that it's not true, but like it's selfish and it's detrimental, and it's like you signed up and said you were going to support her in doing this, and like this isn't it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's like the number one thing he says he does is he writes notes in his phone when we're like going through it. He'll like
I'll
write
like handwrite them.
Or handwrite them.
But I would read them in the
like,
morning, rip them up, and be like, that would have hurt her. That's like, you know, horrible. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's things I can do.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, because I think that was I like the initiation piece of it, and just, I know for me, and like going through EMDR and like having trauma and being in that relationship, and one, not knowing how to initiate it in a healthy
just like not
way,
feeling confident in it.
and then expecting your significant other to do that, but not also realizing that, you know, you had those thoughts of, how do I initiate it? Is she going to think it's this? Like, so I think having that open dialogue now to where you can communicate.
Yeah. A lot of that
right?
was during EMDR, you know? So it was like, I'm going to take 6 months. I won't initiate. There'll be no pressure for that. Like, do what you have to do. It's going to be hard, but like, don't forget about me, but we're going to leave it in your hands, you know? And someone like her is good without. So it's like every single night, you don't know, you're trying to stay true to your word and not do that. So you're just like waiting on them, and you'll like go on a date or have this like amazing family time, and then a date, and like, it's like, what is it going to take? Why is, you know?
Because that goes back to love languages.
Yes.
Like, obviously, most men are physical touch. That's their number one love language. I feel like that's just how men are wired. Intimacy and physical touch is a big one. And then what, like words of affirmation, you would say? Or what's your second? Physical touch and acts of service, maybe? I know mine are quality time and acts of service.
Yeah, or like affection, just like anything.
Yeah, so physical touch.
Yeah.
I think that like the love language thing, like I do obviously believe that everybody has like one, but I think it's really all situational, right? Because there are some times where like I do need love.
I
like,
could agree
words
with
of
that.
It's
I could agree with that.
situational, right? Like there's like times in life when I need certain things. Like mine is quality time. I just want somebody
Me
to
too.
want to spend quality time with me and like make an effort and say, hey, I booked this restaurant for you and we're going out to dinner and you
Yeah.
don't have anything to do except to just go and eat some food.
Yeah.
That for me makes me feel so seen, and then not even, it doesn't even have to be money. Like, I got this new little video game or this deck. Like, I want to sit and just spend this one-on-one time with you and nothing else. Like,
That's what mine is, especially because you work so much.
yeah,
So
I just
mine
want
is definitely quality
Yeah.
time.
But the expectation at the end of the night would always like blow it up, because we weren't on the same page, you know?
Yeah.
You would think if you had that perfect night that person's going to want to like be intimate with you, you know?
And in my eyes, that's like not just from like a trauma point of view, like that's what I was sexualized, and I was made to do all these things because I would spend quality time with a person. And so in my eyes, it was like, no, just spend time with me because you want to spend time with me, not because you want to have sex with me at the end of the night. Even though we were married, like it still felt very like he's sexualizing me. Like he wants me.
Transactional.
Yeah, very
Like,
transactional. And
you're doing this for me because we're at the end of the night, I'm going to get this from you.
Exactly.
So not feeling that, but having both.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
But without communication.
Yeah, without communication, it's like you don't want to do it on the good nights, you don't want to do it on the other nights. So like,
Yeah.
what exactly,
Yeah. And again, that goes with me like holding grudges, I think, and also just like being so scared to act. Like I talk about this a lot, but like sometimes when we're in intimate situations, I feel like a child. Like I immediately revert back to like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel confident in my body. Oh my God, like he's staring at me, but really he just loves me and loves all part of me and just wants me to be so present in the moment. And it's so hard for me to do that sometimes. And so that's a big thing for me, to be so like right there and just confident in who I am and my sexuality and not thinking that it's wrong or gross. I've done a lot of work around that, and I feel like it's definitely changed and got better. I don't think it's wrong anymore or gross to feel that way, but sometimes I still feel very immature in my body. I can't explain it, and that's still something that I'm working through, but yeah, initiation is extremely hard for me.
And we have these conversations too where you're like, yeah, I want to.
Yeah,
but I
just,
don't
like,
know how to act on it.
I can't act. Like I'll be sitting next to him and want to like jump on him, but like everything in my body is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Or like in my brain is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Like, oh my God, no. Maybe that's like fear of rejection or fear of who knows. So yeah, we're definitely at a phase in our relationship where initiating is a little bit harder for me, which is why cue the schedule. This might sound crazy to a lot of people, but we are at a point in our relationship where we had to come up with a sex schedule, and that's just what it is right now. Sundays and Wednesdays are like our 2 days that we have sex no matter what. We set time aside to make that happen because I was getting to the point where I didn't know what I wanted. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need you to be spontaneous and just throw me down and, fucking dominate me. And then sometimes I'd be like, no, like I have to know when this is happening. Like you can't just surprise me. You can't just like throw this on me. Like I never knew what I wanted. And so finally,
legit, like
finally,
I know.
It came to the point where I was like, nope, we're going to have a set schedule. That way I'm mentally prepared every single day. I know when it's coming. I can prepare myself. I can set time aside. Those are the 2 days that we're not the busiest. Sundays and Wednesdays are like our two, free days. Sunday fun day, Wednesday hump day. So I'm like, it's perfect. And, we made that happen. And if it happens any other day of the week, then perfect. But at least we're going to make 2 times a week that we're connecting in an intimate level, because at that point it's like we're roommates and he's my
now
best
everybody
friend.
knows when the podcast drops. You guys are getting fucked.
Okay.
Getting it in. Wednesdays are no longer just podcast days. It's scheduled sex day.
But no, it sounds crazy, but I think it has helped me a ton. And then I just get more comfortable with the idea of sex and being intimate and knowing that it's...
No, it's definitely been phases. And when it's not good, we look into it almost too much. And it's like, you can't put your finger on it. It just was what it was. And then it comes back randomly.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about attachment styles, because I feel like a lot of people don't know what attachment styles are. And I feel like it's a big thing. And so there's 4 different types of attachment styles, and if you haven't read the book Attached, it is so good. It was recommended to me last year and I read it within like a week. It was just so good. And there's anxious, secure, disorganized, and avoidant attachment styles. And so I think that obviously meeting Dyl, I was very anxious avoidant. So what that means is anxious is overwhelming fear of being alone, needing constant reassurance, jealousy, over possessiveness and neediness, viewing yourself negatively, which was like a big one for me, but all others in a positive way, or highly sensitive to others' emotional states, which, hello, that's what I do. And then avoidant, I was very avoidant, viewing yourself positively but others in a negative light, which wasn't true for me, but these other ones are pushing others away, having trust issues and feeling like you don't need anyone, craving emotional intimacy but feeling uncomfortable when you get it. Hello. And extremely independent. And then obviously secure. So when you're in a secure, healthy relationship with someone, these are the secure attachment styles. Healthy balance of independence and relying on others, healthy boundaries and ability to trust, viewing yourself and others positively, and comfortable and healthy communication and emotional intimacy, strong self-worth and confidence, which we know, I say it all the time, I still struggle with my self-worth and confidence, and so that's like the last big remainder. But other than that, I feel like we've definitely moved our way into a more secure attachment, because I was very anxious avoidant. And once I learned about that and knew that like there wasn't something wrong with me, or I was just so fucked up that like, no, these were like real attachment styles from trauma or from situations, that like, okay, like it kind of validated I'm not a psycho. You know, my husband is in fact like my person, and I just love to, you know, destroy everything good in my life because I don't feel worthy of his love, or the unconditional ups and downs of it.
Well, it's the self-sabotage, too,
Yeah.
that comes along with trauma, and the behaviors that come along with it, and constantly not feeling good enough. And it's that thing of, oh, if these people find these things out about me, like, they're not actually going to love me. And then you protect yourself, and you're like, oh, my God, I can't. Like, if they get too close, I'm just going to push them away. So it's like this push-pull. Like, I want you here, and I need you, but then don't get too close because I'm going to push you away because you're just too close. So when we're caught in those attachment styles of like pushing and pulling and, ooh, it feels good, but can't feel too good because I'm not worthy of feeling too good.
Exactly.
And if you actually knew who I was, like, you'd probably fucking run too.
Yeah.
And I always say it's always like, who's crazier, the person who loves the crazy person or
the crazy person?
Yeah.
I'm like, I always think I say it to Billy all the time. I'm like, I think it's actually the person that you like are choosing
Oh, that's a good one.
to love the crazy person. You're the crazier one because you actually choose to love us both.
As crazy as they come.
Yeah, you are as crazy as they come.
Okay. What's this one? How would you describe us now versus a year ago, before me working with Brecken and doing the EMDR? And what would you say is like one of the biggest milestones that we've had this past year?
I've had to learn to love in ways I didn't know I was capable of, you know, or that like existed. And the milestones, I mean, I feel like we don't rage text anymore. Like we can talk in the kitchen like with normal voices, you know?
Yeah.
And now even one of us trying to talk over the other, like at this, Kanan thinks we're yelling because that's what he knows to be yelling.
I know.
Like,
which kills me. Like when our kids chime in.
Well,
when
yeah,
Kanan
but like
chimes
we
in,
won't even be yelling. Like we can just
have a
talk
conversation.
now, and it's far different, you know. And I get
And
a
he'll be
better
like, "Mama,
grasp on what's going on.
Yeah, Mama, Dada, stop fighting. And we're like, we're not fighting, buddy. We're literally just talking, like, you know. But those were like the reminders to us to be like, okay, we're not, like, let's not do this anymore, like in front of them. Like they're getting old enough now where they recognize those things and they realize the change in emotion and energy in the room, to the point where my son's like, you know,
like the littlest change, because it's not
little, like minute, like we're having a conversation and
you would never think they would pick up on.
Yeah, and Kanan's just
the
like, Mom, stop
littlest
fighting with Dad. And I'm like, we're not fighting, buddy. Like, we're
Yeah.
not even, like, having a argument. Like, we're literally just talking about something. And he'll be like, oh, okay, it sounds like you're fighting. We'll be like, no, we're not fighting. Like, we're just having a conversation. So I think they made us very self-aware of the situation, too,
Yeah.
I think.
And I think you just being present, you know,
Yeah.
when we are intimate
Yeah.
would be a milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Okay. What's a healthy coping mechanism for you when things are intense at home and I'm not being the most pleasant to be around?
I think space.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of lean into the kids more.
We talked about this on the way here too. I think, you know, Dill's background of being alone so much, you know, he spent 7 years alone, guys. I feel like when I first met him and he told me that, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, even when I was getting high with people. I was never alone. And so when he told me he spent 7 years alone, that hit me so hard. And I was like, he's like, yeah, like I literally.
Well, you didn't have a relationship or girlfriends or like.
No, not for that. And I worked alone. The guy hired me. I
Like
was by
always
myself.
alone. And he would record videos on his phone, like wicked fucked up, like to himself. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. Like I'm not getting high anymore. And then the next day he would wake up sober and see the videos and be like, what the fuck, and delete them, you know? Because that's
Yeah,
just like
or
what
it's
we
like,
do.
let me go get high and then I'll like make a new plan.
Yeah.
You were writing rage emails to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rage videos.
Rage
Like
videos.
I'm like gonna do this. I'm gonna get sober this time. I'm gonna stop getting high. I'm gonna stop doing this like endless cycle. And for me, that was just so fucking heartbreaking knowing that he spent all that time alone. I couldn't even I couldn't stomach it. But I think that is why sometimes when we go through these hardships, he's so okay with himself and being alone, which I mean, some people could
I don't
say
know if it's good or
that's-
bad, but
yeah, some people could say it's not
makes it
healthy, but I
easier.
think it's a really healthy thing to be able to spend time with yourself. I really do. And so because he's so comfortable being alone, I feel like in those times where I'm like needing space or not having a good moment or not having a good week or something disrupts me or something happens, like he's very good at being like, he's very good at reading the room. Obviously, he knows I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So if he comes home and something's not right, he knows it, he feels it, he sees it. And he's like, all right, well, if, you know, you need to talk about it.
yeah.
Here.
And I think another thing since you started with Brecken was like, it's not me. There's nothing I can do.
Exactly.
No matter how much I do or what I do, it's not going to like help or change anything.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of out of my hands.
It just is what it is. And I have to like go through the motions.
I think it's important that this is what we talk about too, that everyone's different. There is no one-way path. So if you deal with your best things alone, writing letters to yourself or just being alone, then that's what you get to do. If you know
Definitely.
whatever works for you, there is no right or wrong way. There is no one path to healing. There is no one certain situation that's going to work, and it's ebbs and flows, and it's going to be different for every situation. And that, I think that's the other thing that you do, is that it's your path, and the things that you've done is the only thing, and that Dyl does need to do
or I
the
compare.
things.
I compare a lot. And a lot of people don't know what we go through because a lot of people don't have my background and a lot of people don't have my trauma. So I'm like, who the fuck am I to compare my relationship to someone else's who has never had the shit done to them as a child and now is navigating a committed, healthy relationship, you know? So it's like, why do I do that? Why do I try to compare? Why do I try to like see why my relationship is different from others when, yes, it is fucking different. It is so different from others, and rightly so. I think that's my biggest, you know, I'm my own worst critic, and also like I need to stop comparing.
Yeah.
Because we're very individual.
So you don't take it personal if
Exactly.
someone says
or I
that
don't take it personal.
you're lucky or something.
Yeah. Because that's
in no way, shape, or form should be a bad thing, and somehow
no, not at
that's
all.
how it got spun.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, which I'll elaborate on that, sometimes when people are so like, oh, you're so lucky, like the way your husband looks at you or stares at you, and you know, I wish I just had a man to love me this much or this way, and I don't feel that sense of like, which again, like this doesn't even, which me and Brecken we've all come to this realization this year of like me working through this situation and coming up with ideas of why I am this way. I think this is just who I am with trauma or without trauma. I'm not the most affectionate person. I'm really not. I don't love PDA. I've never been super touchy-feely with any of my past relationships or, you know, any of the things. So I think even without trauma, PDA and being all lovey-dovey, mushy-gushy has just never been my thing, and that's okay. And I have to stop comparing myself to other people who are so like lovey-dovey and touchy with their partners. Like that's just not me, and I have to be okay with that, and I have to be accepting of that and know that there's a time and place for that. And you know, public displays of affection have never been like my forte. How do I even say that? I don't know. Like they've just never been like my thing, which we know. And I know I'm not the only one in that, right? But when things like that happen and when people are constantly in my ear, because I know how fucking lucky I am. My husband's the best, and I am so fortunate. I'm so grateful. And I thank God every day that he put this man in my life. But when I'm constantly reminded of it, it's almost like a stab to the chest, because I'm like, like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not, like, he deserves better. Like, I'm not this, like, lovey-dovey person that he deserves, or I don't give him the affection that he deserves, or this or that, or I don't love him the way that he deserves. Like, I have to stop internalizing those things and just realize that maybe that's just the way that I am, with or without trauma. And I'm working on it, and I'm trying to be better about it and meeting his love languages. But I think,
Yeah, or we could use it as a good thing. We got to work backwards and do all the hard stuff
Yeah.
first,
Yeah,
and be
that's
best
true.
friends and have like that rock
and
solid
now
trust.
it's just uphill from here.
Me and Amy can go to the strip club, you know.
Yeah.
You go to sleep, like it doesn't bother you.
Yeah,
You know,
this is
like
true.
not
Everyone's
everyone
like,
has these
you let your
luxuries.
husband go to the strip club with your best friend. I'm like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? It's fine.
Oh yeah, everyone needs to have an Amy night.
Yeah, like everyone needs an aim night, and I wanted my husband to experience that. And there's no one I trust more than my husband, so I'm just like, and obviously with my best friend, I'm like, yeah, go to the fucking strip club, have a night, rip it up, you know?
Oh my God, we had so much fun, but we did meet these people and we had to FaceTime takes. They're like,
Yeah.
you guys are fucking. They
Yeah,
like
you guys
looked
are
at us,
lying.
they're like, you guys are fucking, you're lying. We're like, no, we're literally just here.
We're
And
just here.
I was secretly trying to get a job, just so you guys know. We're gonna really throw this out here. We all know it's like my deep dark secret. I really wish I could still be a stripper, but it was a glimpse in the moment when I just like was
It
going through a
was.
divorce, and
It was
I
a
was
business
like,
trip.
It was a business trip.
It was total.
She was like, this
business
is
trip.
strictly business. We're going for an interview. And I'm like, yeah, go. I'm fucking
When
staying
we
in
got
bed.
Tay on the phone and she said, yeah, it was okay, the guy had nothing to say. He was like speechless.
He
Yeah, they
was like,
FaceTime
"What?"
me. I'm like in bed. It's 11:30 at night. And this dude's like, your man's fucking your best friend. I'm like, no, definitely not. He's like, no, they're definitely fucking. They're here at a strip club together. And I'm like, yeah, I sent him.
She's like, I know.
I sent them together to go. Like, he's like, what the fuck? You know, I couldn't believe it. But
We had the best night.
yeah, I mean, everyone deserves an Amy night. If y'all don't know what an Amy night's like, everyone deserves an Amy night, period. Period.
Listen, I just am a wild, free spirit, and I just have the best time, and we always meet the best people.
know.
Yeah.
We have the best random conversations. Like, it doesn't matter where I go or what I do. Like, it's
And she also just allows you to be yourself, your like authentic self, you know?
freedom. You just go and you're there and you just fully enjoy and embrace every moment and every person. And when you energetically show up in that manner, like,
Yeah.
the places that you are show up for you rather than, like you just have these wild, fun
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
You meet crazy people, you do fun stuff, you do the things, you spend a ton of money. Usually it's a problem. It's just,
It's
you're
fine.
like, wait, what
It's
happened?
fine.
And then,
It's
yeah,
fine.
it's fun.
Okay. 2 last questions before we wrap it up. So, last one. What's it like, or not the last one, second to last one. What's it like for you when I'm not able to meet your physical touch needs, and how do you prevent yourself from building resentments? I feel like we kind of already touched on this, but
Yeah, I mean, they build fast.
Yeah.
For sure.
obviously the notes.
But the writing, like, yeah, I don't know.
Like, I
feel
guess
like it's easy to let
turnarounds.
it go, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I took that with me, for sure. Otherwise, because, I mean, you hold
Yeah.
up to them, they start exponentially, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
building.
Okay, and last one. Ready?
Hit a rub and tug, whatever.
Whatever. He's kidding, y'all.
Nobody
He's
does it
kidding.
better than yourself. I mean,
This is true.
get it done, get the job done, get it done quick.
Oh no, he's talking about like an actual rub and tug. Like go to a rub and tug. Like a massage place with a happy
Yeah.
ending.
Was
I
it?
mean, either or.
Yes.
Oh.
He's talking about a casual rub and
I
tug.
thought he was just talking about himself.
But that too.
I mean, that's that.
And I'll be the first
mean,
one to be
it's-
like, go take care of your fucking needs then. You're acting like an asshole. Like, because that's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Men
never
have a
said
lot of
that.
testosterone. And if they don't have a release, it will affect their mood. This is a scientific fact. Don't act surprised. You know this. We've talked about this with Brecken. So when he's coming out the side of his neck, and I haven't had any type of physical intimacy with him in like a week or two, it's like, okay, like it's getting there, right? And I feel it, he feels it. And so either he'll write a note, or I'll be like, do what you need to do if I'm in a mood, or we'll come up with a day where we can yeah. This isn't funny.
You tell him to call a hooker?
No, I would never. Do not say that.
Well, that's why I was like, I didn't even go there with the rub and tug. I just thought he was rubbing and tugging himself.
No, he was definitely talking about a massage place.
Is that a thing? Do they
Oh,
actually
it's
have
definitely a thing, yeah. Okay, last question. What piece of advice would you give to a partner of someone with childhood sexual abuse?
I would be very sure that you like love them in and out, and it's someone that can do no wrong, because like it's not going to be easy. You're going to get the short side of everything, but
Yeah.
you know, you got your whole life, I would imagine, to
Figure it
get
out.
through it with them, and they're going to need someone that can support them the whole time, and you being like selfish or worrying about yourself is just going to be detrimental. And you know what I mean? They just need space and whatever they ask to
Yeah.
get better, and then hopefully it gets better with time, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I felt about you from when
I was going to say,
I started.
do you
I didn't really have a
regret being
choice.
married to me, babe?
No, I mean all of it. I just took it in stride.
I know, yeah.
It was, yeah.
He's a G. He's a savage. What's
Do you
like...
think now on the other side of it, though, really having communications? Because I think this was a big part of, you know, why my marriage failed, right? Is that you have these expectations, you expect her to act or show up a certain way, and then you become resentful if you're not. Like before you guys have learned this, right? Like you keep these feelings in, bottled in, and you're not communicating about it, so the anger's there, and then it's like, it's what I talk about with breath work, where you have like the little things pile up and then pile up and then pile up and pile up, and then something small happens and you get your shirt stuck on the door handle and you fucking lose your mind. And it's because you've continually allowed these things to pile up, and then the smallest thing happens, and it's like the fucking raging, the thing where it's like, holy shit, and then you can step back and you'd be like, holy fuck, I shouldn't have did that. That was a pile up. It actually didn't have to do with that situation. So I think now, you know, going through this whole thing, and then going through it myself as being a woman with trauma and having a marriage fail, and I'll take full responsibility too, where I wasn't communicating my needs, where I was just having these expectations, or I was communicating my needs and they weren't being met.
Yeah.
In a way, I was communicating my needs, and then he was meeting them at a way that he wanted to meet them, but not the way that I was communicating them. So I think really having healthy communication now that you like step through that.
Yeah, for sure.
With expectations and...
Yeah, expectations killers.
Yeah, expectations are a real bitch. And I think we both learned that in our marriage. And honestly, yeah, at the end of all of this, communication, you guys, I feel like we are so lucky to have such good communication.
Yeah, and you're lucky to have friends that'll back me up, you know, because that makes me feel a little bit better.
But also, I'm like this, just don't settle, you guys. This is like a big reminder of like, do not settle. If someone, we got so many questions. Let's just go through and make sure that I answered all of them from the Sacred Rebels page. But we got a lot of questions about, does your partner place blame on you? Does your partner blame you for his actions from your trauma? It's like, no person should ever blame their action. That's a narcissist. We talked about it last week in the podcast. If someone's blaming you for their actions based on your situation that's not even necessarily your fault, they're a narcissist. And like, maybe they shouldn't be in your life. So we'll just start off with that.
They got to be open with people, because like I didn't know Bud Light specifically had a smell that like triggered you.
Let's talk about triggers. Okay, yeah. We
so
forgot to talk about triggers.
there would be times where I could come home on like, you know, whatever, a Thursday night and drink 2 Bud Lights, and then like, you know, I didn't know it. It was probably many times for however long, but you'd be triggered by that smell. not want anything to do with me, and then it came out the side of your neck one time, like
Yeah.
as if I was doing something wrong,
Or like
when I
personal.
wasn't.
Intentional.
Or
Yeah,
impersonal.
or like
personal.
intentional, and it's like, oh well, so and so reminds me of this, and it's like, well, you never told me that, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'll drink something else or not, but like I didn't know that
Yeah.
particular thing, I wasn't doing anything wrong, and it's not my fault that she feels that way, but it's
My
also
abuser was an alcoholic.
she didn't ask for that either, so it's
Yeah.
like it's not her fault, it's not my fault, but still it might not be fair to me. None of that was fair to her.
Yeah.
You know, but like now I know, so we can do something a little different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And also the walking up behind me. There's been like multiple instances where I'm like, hey, don't do that. Like, don't come up behind me. Don't grab my waist. Like, you have to be like, hey, I'm behind you, which like might take the fun out of it. Or he wanted to be like cute. And he's like, well, that's not cute. It's like, well, I don't like that. Like, if I jump and you startle me, like, I don't like that. That is like a big thing for me. I was always startled and always like come up behind on, and like that's a big trigger for me. So if you don't make your presence known, and if I'm like at the sink doing dishes and he comes up behind me and like I don't see him or notice him and I like jump, like I'll break a glass in the sink, you know? Like it's a big thing. So I think knowing your triggers and recognizing them and voicing them and communicating that to your partner so they know, you know, now he's very intentional and he hasn't done it since. Like, he would never do something intentional, right? But I feel like sometimes when these things happen, it's like, why would you do that? It's like, well, I don't fucking know. Like, I didn't know that was like one thing that like, you know, upset you. And also knowing that things are going to come up that you might not think are triggers, but then they come up and it evokes like a body response. And you're like, whoa, like, why did that feel like that? It's like maybe something's there that you need to take a look at, and you can go deeper into that with a therapist or whoever it may be, but you're going to find out what these things are. You just need to communicate them to your partner so they know that they don't have to do that anymore. They won't do those like small simple things anymore.
Or they're never going to know unless you communicate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they're never going to, you can't just assume, right? It's like the 4 agreements are really just it. Like, don't make assumptions. You can't assume. Like, be impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so important to communicate what you need and not to just be like, you should fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And especially when it changes by the week. Like, you got to keep me updated.
Yeah.
Okay. This was a question on our Instagram that we got. What is the hardest part of loving someone with trauma, and what do you think the easiest part is?
The hardest part would be putting yourself second, I would think, you know, because that's what it's going to take. Like, one person's going to have to take more blows than the other, and
Yeah.
or, you know, like in your case, the affection and shit. Like, if I wasn't pushing it and you weren't doing this work, I would see probably,
Yeah.
you know, next to none. And that's like the one thing I need, and I don't need much.
Yeah.
So it's like the one thing that you end up living without. The easiest, I mean, the easiest is like, honestly, like for me, because I love you, is letting, I guess, not sticking up for yourself and like letting all that go. And some people in turn take it as like you're lucky and this and that, but it's also, you know, when someone's not, I guess you just don't expect that much, or
Yeah.
everything you do is like nice, but
Like not expecting.
I guess, I don't know, the easiest part, I guess it's easy to stay in communication because we constantly have to work at it or we'll fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's
I love
easy,
that.
but
Definitely not.
yeah, there's not a lot of easy things coming
I
to
feel like we answered this one, but we'll go over it. Did an approach to hard moments come easily, or how was it learned? I feel like, again, that was like a communication thing.
You're the only one with the hard things to come tell me, so you'd know better, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't really had to bring anything to you.
Did you set boundaries or threshold for what you would allow? Obviously, yes. We talked about this. Triggers, things that I can't handle, and all the things. And then someone said, what are some ways you supported Tay through her journey? Obviously sending me to EMDR and allowing me to do that, taking time and space, giving me the space to do all these extracurricular things to help me, and really being okay.
Yeah, taking Brecken's suggestions.
Yeah.
Talking different, acting different. I mean, you have to relearn most of it, because a lot of it comes off like wrong, even though it's what I was used to, you know?
Yeah.
Like talking dirty to my wife seems like a normal thing to do, but come to find out it has like the adverse effect, you know?
Yeah. I can handle some things, but sometimes
Yeah,
it feels
I
very
mean,
sexualized
it's
and
like,
dirty and like,
yeah.
But yeah,
It's
again,
hit or miss, so
yeah,
it's tough.
tricky waters to navigate for sure. So yeah, just all the things. It's a learning curve. You need to find someone who is willing to stick it out. Again, be clear, be very clear with what your trauma is. I guess don't leave blanket statements for them to wonder for the next 5 years and then come to find out it's like way more serious than they thought. Just be very clear, have open communication, find a therapist, find breath work, find a community to help you get through these things, and to have this like space of healing, and always just have that support network, I think, for sure.
And be open and willing to hear hard truths.
Yes. Especially about yourself.
And different perspectives.
Yeah.
And be willing to be wrong.
Yeah.
Be willing to change your mind.
Yeah.
Be willing to see things from the other person's shoes. I think of being able to have that ability to be like, okay, I understand. And knowing that when you're putting yourself in the other person's shoes, it's not just like devaluing how you're feeling.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not saying that, oh, your feelings are wrong. It's like, no, there's duality in it. Both people can be right.
Yeah.
And both people could be wrong.
Yeah.
Like there doesn't have to be a right or a wrong. It can be, okay, this made me feel this way, and it could make you feel a completely different way, and neither one is right and wrong.
Yeah.
Because each one of you are processing the situation through a different lens.
Yeah.
But being able and willing to see both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That'll help. I would say admitting when you're wrong, not expecting the other person to see when they're wrong.
Yeah, not
like you can't
needing
control
it.
others.
Yeah, not needing that confirmation of like
And
knowing
if you're
that
in
the
a
other person's
relationship
wrong.
with someone like this, like if you plan on having a successful marriage, and it's going to be, you got to kind of play the long game, you know? Like we got kids right now, they're the focus, and like all those country songs that say like you find your wife again when the kids go off to school and you're happier than ever. Like I feel like we'll be at a great point by then. And
I
yeah,
agree,
like
too.
that song we heard on the way here, it said love is hard but loneliness is even harder.
Yeah.
You know, so like it gives
Choose
us
your hard.
it gives us something to work at, and yeah,
Keeps
it's
life interesting. I keep
she's
him on
worth
his toes.
it. It's gonna be worth it.
And I think that that's a good thing too, because
Love you, babe.
for me in my other marriage, even though that this was happening, I was so lonely in my marriage. So you can be there too, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if you're there, you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easier to be lonely, you know? There's less to worry about. Like, you might think you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable there, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not.
But you
you know.
choose your heart. And right now we choose our kids and our family and the big picture of our life and our dreams that we have.
Yeah, so just remember, you think the kids are hard, you're even harder.
And on that note, we're going to thank Daddy Dyl for coming, because this was a big deal. He was nervous. I was nervous. And this is obviously a very vulnerable topic, but we're very appreciative to hear his point of view and how he deals, because I feel like it is important. And I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I do without his support. Obviously, plays a huge role in the situation. So, thanks, babe. We love you. You got big You got big fans out here.
Big fans.
Big fans.
One hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Really take big exhale, expel the energy out. Inhale, lift up, rise up, fill up. Exhale, just let that shit go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to what we have to say. It means the world. As always, we want to end this episode by reminding you that we are not medical professionals and we are not giving any type of medical advice. We are simply sharing our experience and solutions.
We are here with the intentions of reminding you that you are never alone and that everyone's healing journey is unique to the individual. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms to stay updated. Stay well, Sacred Rebels. See you next time.